Hi friends, I am about to embark on finally writing a book that I have been planning. Actually, I have a bunch of books in my head, but I feel like this one is the more important one right now in my life and might be to some others. So I'm going to start with, um, I'm not sure the title yet, but what I want to do is do video blogs along the way as I write and just as things hit me that might be helping you. So right now, I'm going to ask if you think you have a problem with alcohol, a problem with drinking. And if you don't, and not even interested in anything like that, you can stop watching now, and good for you. That's awesome. Um, but you also might want to keep watching if you have a family member that struggles with it, because I want you to learn how hard it is to struggle with alcohol and maybe some things to help you or somebody you love. So I'm going to start today with the basic question is, am I an alcoholic? Alcoholic is a very harsh word, and the reason it is because it is a black and white thing. Um, Being an alcoholic is black and white. Either you are an alcoholic or you're not. And if you are, uh, then you have to admit that to yourself, and it has to be your own decision. And if you aren't, you may be able to maintain your drinking down to 1 or 2 drinks at a time, every few days. Um, but I can tell you that alcoholism looks a lot different for different people. So there is, you know, a binge drinker that drinks maybe just on the weekends. There's a person that drinks all day to keep themselves at a level of alcohol. There's a person that has to drink every night. There's a person that can go weeks without drinking, but when they do drink, they just completely overdo it. So I can give you some information here that I've learned over 25 years of struggling. I am an alcoholic in recovery, and I say that because there is a beautiful life without alcohol, and I never knew that. I just thought that you had to have alcohol in almost everything you do. It's just how I grew up. It's how I spent my high school years. It was a medicine for me. It treated my physical pain, my mental pain, my emotional pain, and it made me more fun, or so I thought. It made me the life of the party. And I thought all these things. So if that's anything that sounds familiar to you, keep listening. I also have many times gotten sober and then stopped being sober. I've talked myself back into drinking again. So, and that is a natural progression in the journey of becoming a non-drinker. And I call it a journey. It's more of a marathon. So it's not a sprint. If you are admitting to yourself that you are an alcoholic, then you know that you have a lot of work to do, but for a huge, huge blessing and benefit in your life. So the one thing that I can boil down here for you, if you are interested in this at all, or questioning your drinking, or actually any other addiction would come into play here. Food addiction, other drugs, pretty much anything that you feel has control of your life and that you don't have control of. But what I'm going to tell you right now for alcoholics, please listen to this. I spent 25 years trying to figure out why I was an alcoholic and what it was that made me sure I was an alcoholic, and this is it. Alcoholism looks different for other people, but there is one consistent thing with an alcoholic. Once you have one drink, you can't stop. Let me say that again. Once you have one drink, even though you had a plan to have maybe 1 or 2, you can't stop. I always said, if I have 1, I have 10. I think it may sound simplified, but if you boil it down and you really want the answer so that you can move forward, look at that. Don't look at, I can drink 2 or 3 days a week socially. When you drink that 2 or 3 days a week and you have one drink, Can you stop after that one, or do you keep drinking? And there's there's a million other things that go into being an alcoholic. Or having an addiction of any kind. But I would say it's that one thing. Once you start, can you stop? And if you're sitting here now saying, no, I really can't. I've tried to say, I'm going out to dinner with friends, I'm going to have one or two. And it turns out that you have way, way more than that. Or if you just, always have liquor at the house or a drink, and you try to limit yourself to just a beer or maybe 2 beers, but it ends up being a 6-pack, or even worse, you're now switching over to maybe like something that gets you drunk faster, like vodka, I'm going to put this in here because I'm a woman. I know a lot of women that think that wine is just a classy thing that we deserve as parents and women in this world with all the pressures. But I have seen some of the worst alcoholics be women, moms, really women that were really doing well and successful in life and had a beautiful life, but wine kind of slips in and it becomes this shining glass that is always there for you and that you can go to make you feel better. And man, I wish I could drink a glass or two of wine at a nice dinner. I tried it for 25 years and it didn't work. So I'm not going to talk about any more than what I just talked about. I want you to consider what I said. If you had any question that you were drinking too much, if you can have 1 or 2 glasses of wine and just be done, or even just go into a situation where it's a party or a dinner and not have anything to drink because you just don't need it, then you are not an alcoholic. If you go into drinking trying to say, I'm only going to have a quick drink or a small drink, or, I'm going to have 1 or 2, the fact that you're even having to kind of think about it going into it to restrict yourself kind of tells you that you're already dealing with an issue. But if you have 1 and you are off to the races, you're downing it, you're on to your second one, where's that waiter, I need another one. And then you before you know it, you've had 5 or 6 glasses of wine, and there's no number on it because some people could be completely drunk on 2 or 3 glasses of wine, and now you're making bad decisions. You might drive, you might hurt someone's feelings, you might hurt yourself. Ultimately, your body is going to suffer from having more than the daily recommended allowance for alcohol, which is very low. When I always used to read those, well, what do you recommend for us ladies, to drink each day? Well, it's like less than 1 drink or maybe 1 drink, and I think, what the heck, who drinks 1 drink? Right? So I've arrived at a place where I feel like this is where I need to help people at this time because of the monumental time I've spent drinking and the monumental time I've spent trying to stop drinking. So if I can share that with any of you, follow my YouTube. This is my actual first video on this subject, and I really hope that I can answer some questions. You can always comment below, and I'll try to comment back depending on how many comments I get. I hope you share it with someone that you're thinking might struggle. Not a judge. This is not a judgment here. This is somebody who's saying, I live with alcoholism. I am in active recovery. I'm having an amazing life now. And I wish that for all of you. And so think about it, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.